The teachings of Rabbi Ephraim Sprecher, Dean of Students at Diaspora Yeshiva on Mount Zion, Jerusalem.
Today we'll be speaking about may a woman lead a Seder for men. Can we have a co-ed Seder, and can a woman read the Seder, right? The Haggadah, right? Good question. Let's take a look. Parshas B'Shalach says, Vatan lahem Miriam. By the Shirat Hayam, it says, Vatan lahem Miriam. What does that mean? Miriam sang for them, or answered them, Shirul Hashem. So Miriam was what? Was a lady. So Chava, you know, Digduk, it should have said, Vatan lahen, with a nun. She's singing for ladies, no?
Well, you would think
Moses sang with the men, and she sang with the ladies. Shirat Hayam, right?
Right.
So how come it says Vatan lahem with a mem? A mem is what? Loshen Zachar.
Right.
Should have said lahen, Loshen Nekeva.
But even if
Looks
it's
like
a 6-month-old baby
Right.
on somebody's back, one baby,
Yeah.
one male baby, makes it hem.
Makes it hem.
Yeah.
So if the mother was holding a baby, so Miriam sang, you're saying what? To the little baby boys.
Well, to everybody.
Right? Vatan lahem. Interesting, it doesn't say lahen, Loshen Nekeva, but it says lahem, Loshen Zachar. Interesting.
Right.
So maybe that's a hint that women can what? Lead a Seder for what?
Men.
For men. Maybe that's a hint. Right, Avram? Because it says that she sang for, she's, Vatan, what does Vatan mean? She answered?
She answered them.
She answered them. Okay? Them is Loshen Zachar. Lahen is Loshen Nekeva. Let's go to source B. This is the Rambam, source number B. You see? Hilchas Chametz Matzah, Perik Zayin. Mitzvahs hasei l'sapre b'nisim, shenasman say le'tezva b'nisim. It's a positive mitzvah, says the Rambam, to tell over the miracles that took place in Egypt on the night of the 15th of Nisan. Shenema, it says, Zochor et hayom hazeh, remember this day when you left Egypt. Kamo shenema zochad yom HaShabbos. The Rambam is making a comparison, Avram, to what? To reading the Haggadah on Pesach night and making Kiddush. He says, it says, Zochor et hayom hazeh, Hashlosa Mitzrayim. Remember the day when you left Egypt, like it says, remember the Shabbos. And we know women have to remember the Shabbos too. Right? Women have to remember making Kiddush too. So just like women have to hear Kiddush or make Kiddush, women also have to participate, what? In the Seder as well. Even though it's what? A time-bound mitzvah. Normally women are exempt from time-bound mitzvah. So the Rambam is comparing reading the Haggadah with Zechirat Shabbat. What does Zechirat Shabbos mean? Making Kiddush. Right? How do you remember the Shabbos? By making Kiddush, right? So the Rambam is comparing it. So just like women have Shmirat Shabbat, they have to make Kiddush or hear Kiddush, they also have to read or participate in the Haggadah. But the question is whether they can lead the Seder. We'll get to that soon. But look at source number 1, the Aruch HaShulchan. On Pesach, you have to prepare. We move the clock, that means the Seder is going to be what? Late. So the Aruch HaShulchan says in source number 1 that a person should make all the preparation for the Seder when? Mibod Yom, when it's still what? Daytime. Right? Zman Rav Kodom Achila. Ba'od Kedei Lecho Miyad Shem Shetechshach B'Shvil HaTanoikas. And you should do the Seder quickly because you don't want the kids to what? To fall asleep, he says. You hear what he's saying? Mitzvah L'Mayer, there's a mitzvah. Look what he says over here. Mitzvah L'Mayer V'Lokum L'Leilach Lasat HaSeder. Not to waste any time. B'Kach Homer Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, he never left the Beis Medrash except Erev Pesach. Right? To make ready that the Seder should start as what? As soon as possible. Right? And the Gemara says over there that what? That the kids, they grab matzah on B'Leil Pesach, B'Shvil HaTanoikas. This is what they grab the Afikoyim to keep them interested. They shouldn't what? Fall asleep. Rabbi Akiva hoya mechalek kuloyos ve'goyzim tanoikas v'erev Pesach. Rabbi Akiva would distribute on Pesach night. He would give out nuts. What's kloyos mean? That goes in walnuts and other type of nuts to the kids that they shouldn't want fall asleep. You see, Rabbi Akiva was a Sephardi. He ate kidney ice. Because on the Seder night, he would give out to the kids all sorts of different type of nuts, which the Ashkenazim don't eat because it's kidney ice, but looks like Rabbi Kiva was what? Was a Sephardi, right? So in order to keep the children interested, right? They shouldn't fall asleep, because it says that the Iker Sipay Tias Mitzrayim is what? Is through a dialogue between what? Parents and children, right? Parents and children.
You got it to Levincha.
We got it to Levincha. The mincha doesn't only mean a son, it means a child.
Children.
Child, right? A child, right? So it's a parent-child dialogue. Why is that so important on Pesach Night Chanoch, that there has to be a parent-child dialogue? Why is that so important?
Discuss about the children.
But why is that so important on Pesach night? There is no other chag where you have to have a dialogue with your parents and your children. There's a mitzvah to sit in the sukkah. Is there a mitzvah to talk about it, Yosef? No. There's a mitzvah to shake a lulav and esrog. Is there a mitzvah to talk about it? No. There's a mitzvah to blow a shofar or a shofar. Is there a mitzvah to talk about it? No. Ma nishtana Pesach, the Mishnah says, whoever doesn't explain Pesach, Matzah, and Morah, lo yotzei chavasai. You ate Pesach, Matzah, and Morah, Avram. If you didn't explain it, it's like you didn't do anything. It's another ma nishtana. Can't ask the same kashas every year. Right? You sit in the sukkah, you don't talk about it, you did the mitzvah. You shake a lulav, not a shofar. You shake a lulav, and, right, sit in the sukkah, and you blow a shofar, you don't talk about it, you did the mitzvah. Ma nishtana Pesach, Matzah, and Morah. But if you don't talk about it, even though you did the mitzvah of eating Pesach, Matzah, Morah, it's like you did nothing.
Connected generations.
Very good. So why dafka Pesach night? Why dafka Pesach night? Why is dialogue between parent and child so important on Pesach night? So
the kids come home.
the Sforno explains. You ever see Roots? You ever see Roots? With Alex Haley? If I wouldn't have seen that, I wouldn't know what the Sforno meant in the 1400s. It's amazing. I thought I was wasting my time watching the TV there. But if I didn't see that series, I wouldn't know what the Sforno meant. You see the movie Roots. A slave is not permitted to open up his mouth. He gets a chamalya. How do you say that in English?
Whack.
A whack. Slave is not allowed to open his mouth, and there's no parent-child relationship with a slave. There is no parent-child relationship. The kids are taken away and sold off to other plantations. So the clearest sign that we're no longer slaves, said the Sforno, the Pesach. Pesach means the mouth speaks. Demonstrate you appreciate your freedom. As a slave, you couldn't open up your mouth. You get a whack. And as a slave, there was no parent-child relationship. That's only by a person when he's a ben chorvin. So therefore, on Pesach night, the night that we became free from slavery, to show that we appreciate our freedom, there's a mitzvah to talk and to explain to our children, which was not possible when we were what? Slaves. So therefore, Pesach is unique. Ma nishtana. It's the holiday to celebrate our freedom, to demonstrate we're no longer slaves. Because as a slave, there was no parent-child relationship, and you couldn't even open up your mouth unless, yes, boss, no boss. All right? What?
Not even
no boss. Or yes, boss, right? But you couldn't talk unless you were addressed by the master.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right?
Yes,
now, so therefore it's so important to speak about the Pesach night and to tell about it, especially parent-child relationship, which we could not do as a slave. Now, source number 2, the Chassam Sofer, Nimtz lefize amiras hagoda b'leil Pesach denafke magad lebincha. Right? It says v'yigadet lebincha. You shall. The word hagoda means to what? Tell over. Amira b'peh. Eina yotze ela b'b'shemea b'bar chiyuva. Now, just like Kiddush, do you have to make Kiddush yourself? No, Shemea Ka'oneh. Avram, what does that mean, Shemea Ka'oneh? Listening and concentrating is like what? And since the Rambam compares Zechiras Yetzias Mitzrayim to Kiddush, the Rambam is implying that just like Kiddush, you yoitze, even if you don't say it yourself, as long as you what? Here. The same thing with reading the Haggadah. You don't have to read it yourself. Listen to me. Because the Rambam compares it to Zochar Yom Shabbos. Just like Kiddush on Shabbos, Shemea Ka'oneh. So the same thing, reading the Haggadah, it's enough if one guy does it, and you what? Listen. Now you have to know what he's saying, otherwise it doesn't count. So let him say it in English, or if he says it in Hebrew, you should follow what? In English. But the point that I'm making is that you don't have to what? Read it yourself. Just like you don't have to make Kiddush yourself. Shemea Ka'ona, listening and concentrating and understanding what the meaning is like saying it yourself. But it has to be said by a bar chiyuva. What does a bar chiyuva mean? The person has to be over 13, or the girl over 12, right? Because if the person is under 13 or 12, he's not called a bar chiyuva. And if he is not a bar chiyuva, he cannot make Kiddush or read the Haggadah for you. So therefore, the girl must be over 12 who's reading the Haggadah, or the boy over 13. Otherwise, they cannot fulfill. But it's amazing, you'll see soon that even a lady or a girl can read the Haggadah if she's over 12. And we'll see in a minute over here. So, you have to hear it from someone that's a bar chiyuva, that's someone who's self-obligated. And you have to hear it, and you have to know what's being said. So it's good if the guy can read it in English, or if he reads it in Hebrew, you should follow what? In English. But you have to know, but not everybody has to say it. That's the point I'm making. Just like not everyone has to make Kiddush. One person makes Kiddush and everybody is Yotzeh. The same thing with what? With reading the Haggadah. And perhaps it's even better because B'roi Vam Hadras Melech. There's a pasuk in Mishlei 14, B'roi Vam Hadras Melech, Avram. There's 100 people eating Friday night dinner together. Should all 100 people, each one make Kiddush? No. One person. Why? B'roi Vam Hadras Melech. It's a pasuk in Mishlei 14 that the glory of the king is enhanced if everybody's standing at attention and one guy is what? Reading, and everybody concentrates. So if that's true by the Kiddush, it's also true by the Haggadah. So source number 2, Afapi Ein Yotzeh Mikei Shemei, again he says, you only Yotzeh Yechayiv if you hear it from a bar chiyuva, right? But one guy has to say it. Thinking is not enough, right? Thinking is not enough. Now look at source number 3. Amazing, the Moshe Feinstein Zatzal actually says that a lady can what? Read the Haggadah for what? For men. Great by Moshe Feinstein is source number 3. You see that? Igris Moshe. You have it? If the man is not able to say the Haggadah, he's sick, or he's not able to read properly, or he's having a bad hair day, the ishto yodat, and his wife what? No, source number 3, you would have that. Hine pashut l'chor. What does pashut mean? It's obvious. The ma'acha she'isha, source number 3, nami chayevet miras Haggadah kanoshim. Just like a woman is obligated to hear or say the Haggadah, just like men, the bechol chiyuvei Pesach, because all obligations of Pesach, like eating Pesach matzah and maror, even though they're time-bound mitzvahs, isha chayeves. Women are what? Obligated, even though it's time-bound mitzvahs.
Why?
Read on, my friend. That's why I gave you a paper. Why? Glad you asked. Source number 3, it's underlined. See the word Isha? Yeah. If Isha chayeves, it's time-bound mitzvah. Eating Pesach matzah maror, David, reading the Haggadah is a time-bound mitzvah. Why are women equally obligated like men? Mehakesha. What does mehakesh mean? How do you say hekesh in English? Comparison. The chol sheyesh loy b'achilas chometz yesh b'achilas matzah. The Torah says, don't eat chometz, eat matzah. So it's a package deal, Chava. Women have all negative commandments, right? Women have all negative commandments like men. There are 3 negative commandments that women don't have. Bal tashchis, Bal takif, Bal tatam alametim. All women are not allowed to eat pig, they can't wear shatnez. All negative commandments women have except 3. What does Bal tashchis mean? A woman, remember the lady in the circus? The bearded lady with the bearded lady in the circus. She could use a Gillette on her face. There's no isser. The law of shaving with a razor does not apply to women. And Bal Takif, what does Bal Takif mean? You're not allowed to cut off your payas. But a Rebbetzin is allowed to cut off her payas. But all the other negative commandments ladies have. Right? Since a woman is not allowed to eat chametz, she also has to all the laws of Pesach. So the Gemara makes a hekesh, it's a package deal. Since women have the negative obligation of Pesach, which is what? Don't eat Cheerios. So they also have all the positive. It's a package deal. The negative of Pesach and the positive are connected. Since women have the negative of not eating chametz, they also have all of the positive aspects of Pesach, even though it's time-bound. A woman can actually read a Megillah for men, but we don't do it. It's not covered up. It's covered up tzibur, right? Covered because the men will be focusing a lot on her skirt. You know how men are, right? But the Mishnah says in Megillah that a woman can read a Megillah for men. Rabbi Abrams, the Mishnah says that. We don't do it because covered up tzibur.
Because of modesty and stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
Then why can't
But if she reads for other women, not a problem. They have women's minyanim reading the Megillah. And technically she can read for a man, but we don't do it because it's not sneels.
It's not tzanua.
Reading the Torah. But anyway, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm still not clear. Women are generally exempt from time-bound.
Women are exempt from time-bound mitzvahs. Why is that? Because Osik, who said that? Chanoch, you get a star. Osik b'mitzvah potem min ha-mitzvah.
You're busy doing
Osik b'mitzvah potem min ha-mitzvah. Taking care of your family, with hubby and the kids, you're doing a mitzvah 24/7. You're occupied with one mitzvah, therefore you're released from other mitzvahs like putting on tefillin, or shaking a lulav, or even hearing shofar, or sitting in a sukkah. Women are exempt.
Right.
So Rabbeinu Chai, because osik b'mitzvah potem min ha-mitzvah.
Right.
They're involved in a more important mitzvah than shofar, or sukkah, or lulav. What's more important? Taking care of your children and your hubby.
What happens if the man is
But the reason why they're obligated.
But there are exceptions, like Pesach, Matzah, and Maror, because it's tied to not eating chametz. It's tied to not eating chametz. The Gemara makes hekesh. Since women are not allowed to eat chametz, right?
Yeah.
Are women allowed to eat chametz?
No.
So they have a package deal. So the flip side of not eating chametz is what? Eating matzah and Maror and reading the Haggadah. That's the flip side.
That's the Gemara makes this.
Gemara Psachim makes this hekish, and Moshe quotes it over here. Isha chayeves mehekesha, the chol sheyeshta bechilas chametz. Anyone that's not allowed to eat chametz, including women, also have the mitzvah to eat matzah and all the other positive mitzvahs of Ad Pesach. Shu gam lechol mitzvahs hasei dika Pesach deraisa. All positive mitzvahs on Pesach night, women have just like men.
What about a man who raises his kids alone when his wife is not around anymore? Does he?
Once the rabbi, once the Torah released them, they're released, right? So you ask me a question. Let's say she's a widow who has no kids, or what? She's still released from time-bound mitzvahs, Avram. Why? He's asking. That's a good question. Let's say she doesn't have a family to take care of. She's still released. You know what Elisheva said? It was mechavan to Rabbeinu Bechai. That the word mitzvah, the root is tzav. Tzav means to bond. We need, David, all the props, Mark, to bond with God. Women are naturally bonded. So they don't need the prop of talis. Rabbeinu Bechai says it. Make my day. What you said? Rabbeinu Bechai says we need the props of talis and tefillin, sukkah, shofar, lulav to remind us to bond with him. Women don't need the props. They're naturally bonded. So even though they have no family, they're still released from time-bound mitzvahs because they're naturally bonded.
What about a man who is raising his kids alone?
Still, let him get a nanny. Let him get a Filipino to raise his kids. No, women is not allowed. Women is not allowed to put on tefillin because that's cross-dressing, right? Other positive mitzvahs. Camille raised a good point. Other positive mitzvahs, a woman doesn't have to hear shofar. She doesn't have to shake a lulav. She doesn't have to sit in the sukkah. But if she wants to, she can. But talis and tefillin, she's not allowed to. Nebuch, the women off the wall, Nebuch, they don't know. I mean, women on the wall, they don't know. I mean, it's cross-dressing. They're not allowed to wear, because the Yonasim and Ezekiel said there's a law in the Torah not to cross-dress. The Targum Yonasim and Ezekiel says, and Halacha codified, that talis and tefillin is a man's article of dress. So if a woman wears talis and tefillin, she's transgressing, she's cross-dressing. But I want to be malamed chus on them, because their husbands don't put on talis and tefillin. And they say, Ishtai kigufai.
What does that mean?
Ishtai
One man,
kigufai.
one body.
Ishtai kigufai. A husband and wife are like
Sing it,
what?
put it out, she's-
Like what?
Sing.
So she's putting, but in Malamed, you have to be Malamed Chus on all Jews. They mean well. They mean well. Right? The 4 cups of wine, there's a rabbinic mitzvah. Women have to drink the 4 cups of wine on Pesach night, even though it's a time-bound mitzvah and it's only rabbinic. Because the whole miracle of Pesach happened throughout Noshim Tzidkaniyos. So to demonstrate that, drinking the 4 cups of wine is only rabbinic, and it's time-bound, and yet women have to do it. Gemara Psachim says because they were instrumental in the miracle. The whole Exodus happened not for the what? Moshe and Aaron, not for the rabbis, but for whom? The Noshim Tzidkaniyot. So therefore, Moshe brings over here that women also have to drink the 4 cups of wine, even though it's only the Rabbanan, and it's a time-bound mitzvah. Still, women have to do it. Okay? Shekam Eloshim Tiknu. It's a time-bound mitzvah, rabbinically, but they were instrumental in the miracle, just like Purim and Chanukah. Purim and Chanukah are rabbinic time-bound mitzvahs, yet women are obligated in Purim and Chanukah because what? Chava, you ladies were instrumental in the miracle. Who caused the Purim miracle? Esther. Who caused the Chanukah miracle? Yehudit. Right? So therefore, even though they're rabbinic time-bound mitzvahs, they have to do it because they were instrumental. Now, so there are 4 Pesach mitzvahs on Pesach night. There's Pesach, Matzah, Moreh, Gadat Lebincha. Everything revolves around 4, Avram. There are 4 questions. There are 4 cups. There are 4 terms of endearment. Right? The Tzeisi, the Galti, the Lakachti, the Vevez, right? And there are 4 Torah mitzvahs. Pesach, Matzah, Moreh, Gadat Lebincha. Everything revolves around 4 on Pesach night. Why? Why, Mark? I'm glad you asked. The Gemara in Saita tells us the whole miracle happened for the righteous women. What's a symbol of the righteous women? The 4 mothers. The 4 mothers are the symbol of the righteous women. And therefore, everything on Pesach night revolves around 4 questions, 4 cups, 4 terms of endearment, 4 Torah mitzvahs, to demonstrate that the Exodus was done only for the righteous women, and the symbol of the righteous women are what? Are the Noshim Tzidkaniyos, the 4 mothers.
You didn't answer whether the man has any priority over the...
Well, we have to finish over here, right? Yeah. Does a man have any priority? What? Well, obviously, if the man could read it, then he should read it, no?
Why?
Why? I don't know.
He's the man.
He's the man. Who wears the pants? Who wears the pants, right? What?
If there's no priority, they're
My
both
experience.
obligated equally.
Rav Moshe says, you're right. He says only if the man is not willing or able to do it. That's what he
Willing
says.
and able.
Right? But he says she has the same obligation
So why-
as a man. So therefore she can, yeah.
Yes, she can, but...
She can. So maybe they should rotate.
Does he have any priority?
Husband and wife should rotate. No, Yosef?
Does he have any priority? Can he pull rank?
I don't know if he pull rank.
It's an individual thing.
Shalom Bayis is the most important thing. Doesn't pay.
Hopefully.
Reminds me of a story of Yosef. All my stories are true, but some didn't happen yet. It's Pesach night in Chelm. And the Chelm, he didn't know what to do. It's Pesach night. He heard about a Seder, a Shmeder. What's a Seder? He doesn't know. Pesach night in Chelm.
Because it's Helen.
So they're sitting down. The wife says, no. Says, what do you mean, no? I don't know what to do. Seder. She says, I have an idea. Go to the rabbi's house, peek in the window, and see what's going on there, and you'll know what he's doing. You come home and you do here.
Uh-oh.
So he goes to the rabbi's house, and he looks through the window, and he sees that the Rebbitzin is ranking out and yelling at the Rebbe. She's really giving him a shaberach. She's screaming and yelling at him.
No.
So the Chelm guy, he runs away. He comes home. And the wife says, no, did you see what the rabbi and the Rebbitzin are doing for the Seder? He doesn't say anything. Again, what are you, cat got your tongue? I asked you. You went to look in the window of the rabbi and the Rebbitzin, how they conduct the Seder. Tell me what you saw. He doesn't answer. Then she starts yelling at him. You idiot, I'm talking to you. So he says to her, if you know how to conduct the Seder, why do you send me? Don't you get it?
Yeah.
She's yelling at him. If you know how to do it, why did you send me? Don't you? I think pretty funny,
You know
no?
what it is? It's like telepathy. It's
If
like
you know how to do it, why did you send me? Get it, Mark?
So.
I thought it was pretty funny. I don't know.
Sometimes it's good when you're married, sometimes you think your wife thinks.
What? If you know how to do it, why'd you send me? You're yelling. Okay, but anyway, that's not the way, right? That's not the way to. Interesting. So you can't ask the same questions the same year, every year. Ma nishtana arba kosot Avram is a rabbinic mitzvah. It's a rabbinic mitzvah. Why don't you make a berachat mitzvah before you drink the 4 cups of wine? Before you do a mitzvah, before you read the Megillah, you make a bracha. Before you light the Chanukah candles, you make a bracha, right? Before you light the Neiros Shabbos, you make a bracha. Drinking the 4 cups of wine is a rabbinic mitzvah. Why don't you make a bracha? Asher kirishonim misvayis of tivanu lishtot arba kosot. Lishtot arba.
When we say great finish,
What?
we do say
That's not berachat hamitzvah. It's berachat hanenin. Don't mix me up. Before you read Hallel, do you make a bracha?
Yeah.
Hallel is a rabbinic mitzvah. So drinking the 4 cups of wine is a rabbinic mitzvah. Ma nishtana 4 cups of wine. David Kaplan, you like it. Ma nishtana, the 4 cups of wine from other rabbinic mitzvahs, it doesn't get the berachat hamitzvah. Like Mikra Megillah, Likra et Hallel, Lahadik ner Chanukah, Lahadik ner Shal Shabbat, Chavi, you never thought about this?
But we say great regofen.
Bar Piagofen is berachat hanenin. It's not berachat hamitzvah. Asher kirishanu b'mitzvah tzivanu lishto. You know the difference,
One's getting pleasure from
right? But it's a rabbinic mitzvah. So why? And why we say there are only 7 rabbinic mitzvahs? There should be 8. What are the 7 rabbinic mitzvahs, Avram? Count with me. Nerot Shabbat, Nerot Chanukah, Purim, making brachas, Netilas Yadayim, making an Eruv, and what? And saying Hallel.
Shabbos lights, Hanukkah lights.
Right. Shabbos candles, Hanukkah candles,
Yeah,
Purim, making brachas, Netilas Yadayim. I said Netilas Yadayim.
Right, I know.
What else? Hallel. And what's the other one? Erev. Thank you. There's 7. 1 minute. So you do. Before you make Erev, you make a bracha. All of those are 7 rabbinic mitzvahs. Get a bracha before you make it. Before you make an Erev, before you light a Hanukkah candle. All of it. Al mitzvahs Erev. So ma nishtana Avram. You like this, right? Why is Arba Kosos not only doesn't it get a bracha, it doesn't get ranked. There should be, Rabbi Yosef, number 8. And Arba Kosos is so important, the Gemara says, if you don't have enough money for Arba Kosos, if you don't have enough money to buy matzah, do you have to sell your shirt off your back? No. You don't have enough money to put on tefillin, you have to shirt. Arba Kosos, which is only the Rabbanan, if you don't have money, you have to leilenu sell the shirt to buy Arba Kosos. It's such an important rabbinic mitzvah. Why ain't it ranked number 8? There should be 8 rabbinic mitzvahs. And why doesn't it get a berachat mitzvah? You hear the question? There should be 8 rabbinic mitzvahs. It's a mitzvah which, if you don't have money, you have to sell your property or even your clothes, lo yaleinu, to buy money to buy Arba Kosos. Such an important rabbinic mitzvah. Why doesn't it get a berachat mitzvah? And why doesn't it get a ranking of number 8? There are only 7 rabbinic mitzvahs. And here, why doesn't this count? Hear the question on the table.
It's a bunch of them.
Right? You can't say the same thing every Seder night, Avram. You have to use new stuff because people, they get bored. So this is Seder night talk, right? So Tosfos in Arab Psachim gives the answer. He says that Arba Kosot is part of the Hallel. On Pesach night, we elevate the Hallel. Normally, you don't drink in the middle of Hallel. But Pesach night, the night we became God's holy people, where my body and my throat became a Mizbeach, drinking the 4 cups of wine on Pesach night is part and parcel of the Hallel.
Because with
That-
every...
That means if someone were to drink the 4 cups of wine on Pesach night, not saying the Hallel, it's like he did nothing. So therefore, Tosfos says, Avram, Arba Kosos doesn't get its own mitzvah, and it doesn't get its own bracha. Because on Pesach night, Arba Kosos becomes part and parcel of Hallel. Praising God through what? Drinking wine. That's pretty amazing. On Pesach night, the Jewish throat and taste buds become what? Mark, a living Mizbeach. So therefore, Arba Kosos doesn't get its own Berchat HaMitzvah, and doesn't get its own ranking. Kosos says on Pesach night, it's part and parcel of what? Hallel. Okay? So if you just drink the 4 cups without saying the Hallel, it's like you did nothing, yes?
Because again, with usually
What?
when you have a sacrifice, when you have a zebach,
Right.
you have to have the niska. You have to have the
You have to pour the drink on the altar, that's
you have to
right.
pour wine on the altar.
Wine on the altar. But here, instead of pouring wine on the altar, very good, Chava, you're pouring it down your throat. Your throat becomes a living altar.
That's right.
Isn't that amazing?
Rabbi.
You know what Chava said?
Rabbi,
Yes.
if we dismissed rabbinic Judaism, what would we
Chas
get?
v'sholom. We're not Karaites.
No. What,
Oh.
We would be like Karaites? Is that what
Yeah, we're not
And
Karaites.
and they are only
They're outside the pale, right?
literal translation of the... They take
Karaites, they only read the text.
They,
An eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth.
they had to make up their own oral law.
On Shabbos, they don't go to the shul. It says, Al Yetze Ish B'Mkomo Yom HaShvi. It says no one leaves his place on Shabbos. How do they go to the bathroom? It says they sit in the same chair all Shabbos. Right? It says no one should leave their place on the 7th day.
It's a potty chair.
What does that mean? It's a potty chair. What does it mean, Yosef? You shouldn't leave your place on Shabbos. That's what it says in Parashat B'Shalach. What does it mean?
But now they don't...
What does it mean?
All right, they don't...
Oral Torah says you're not allowed to walk outside the city more than 2,000 amas. That's what it means. Without the Oral Torah, we don't know what it means. You can't go to the bathroom on Shabbos, right? You can't leave your house.
No fun.
But
Right?
don't they make up their own oral law?
I don't know. You gotta ask them, right?
Because otherwise it's not...
We- what?
But it's not our tradition. It's their tradition.
Well, I don't know. They're called Karayim, they're called. They're the inheritors of the Sadducees. The Sadducees.
Tzadukim.
They had a
Tzedakah.
gathering place in the old city.
Yeah?
We went there, Shalom Pollack took us on tour there.
So you met the
They
guy?
have a place.
That-
Yes, he came to the door, Shalom spoke with him, yeah.
Right?
They have a plaque on the wall that says they're this. And
Oh, okay.
And these are the same people who were up on Masada, weren't they, the Karaites?
No. Carrots,
That's the
no.
Essene.
Yes, they...
No, the Masada, that wasn't the Essenes. The Essenes were before that. They were the Zealots who escaped from the burning Jerusalem, and they had a last stand on Masada. That was not, that was the Zealots. The Essenes came before.
These were the Dead Sea
Really, right?
Keep it straight.
The Dead Sea Scroll, that's the Essenes, right?
Yeah.
I'll take you on the tour,
Right.
it won't cost you much.
So anyway, so we said that everything on Pesach night revolves around the mamas, the 4 mothers, right? Avra, who are they? Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, right, Avram? 4 mothers. So the whole motif on Pesach night, you name it, is 4. Everything is 4.
What did the 4 mothers have to do with the Seder?
Because the Noshim Tzidkaniyos, the Gemara in Sotah says, the whole Exodus happened for the righteous women. Who symbolizes the righteous women? David, who?
Sarah.
The 4 mothers. So therefore the motif on Pesach night is everything 4, the 4 mothers. But I have a problem with that. There are only 4 mothers?
No, the mama.
Huh? The Zohar calls Yaakov Avinu's wife Neshei Barzel. What does that mean, Avram? Iron ladies, before
Iron
Maggie
ladies.
Thatcher.
Maggie Thatcher.
Before her. The Zohar calls the Yaakov Avinu's 4 wives Neshei Barzel. Barzel is an acronym, NYPD, CIA, FBI. The Bet stands for what?
Bilhah.
Bilhah. Barzel, the Iron Ladies. The Resh stands for what? Rachel. The Zion stands for?
Zilpah.
And the Lamed.
Leah.
So there should be 6 mothers. You hear my question?
Because we have
Why do we, the Neshei Barzel, Rabbi Eberstein, I wonder about that. Why are we cutting out Bilhah and Zilpah? Without them, there's no Shiftei Kah. Without them, there's no Dan, there's no Naphtali, there's no Gad and Asher.
They were concubines, right?
But so what?
Well,
So what?
They
They were concubines. So what? But they gave birth to 4 tribes of Israel. Without them, you ain't going nowhere. In the 12 stones on the breastplate, shaved it done, without Naphtali, without God, Rosh ain't going anywhere. So why are they dismissed? Why are they not considered the mothers of Israel? When the Zohar calls Yaakov's wives Barzel, acronym Bilhah, Rachel, Zion, Zilpah, Lama, Leah.
That's a good
Yaakov's
question.
wives are called Neshei Barzel, the Iron Ladies.
That's a good question.
You think, I think it's a very good question.
So tell us.
Okay, I'm glad you asked, okay? So I didn't know the answer. My daughter-in-law, she gave me the answer. I think that's the right answer. She said as follows: to be called a mother in Israel, it's more than a biological thing. You look at the lives of Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. All of them led lives of what? Of hardship and trouble. All of them. Barrenness and being kidnapped by the king of the PLO and Mitzrayim. They all lived lives of deprivation, hunger, exile, kidnapping, barrenness, and yet they prevailed. So they were able to pass on to DNA. Why are we still here after all the pogroms, all the kidnappings and the exile and the executions? Why are we still here, Avram? Why? Because our mothers, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, they passed those traits of savlanut, of what? When the going gets tough, the tough go shopping. Oh, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. They passed it on in the DNA gene of Am Yisrael. That's why we're here, despite all of the sufferings and the tzorot, persecutions. Our mothers, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, each one suffered terribly, and yet they prevailed. We shall overcome.
That's good.
But Bilhah and Zilpah lived lives of what? Of leisure. Bilhah and Zilpah, they were not barren. They were never kidnapped by the king of the PLO or by, what's his name, Pharaoh.
Right.
They never suffered exile or hunger.
right.
So even though they gave birth to the tribes, but they had nothing to give as far as what? The midot, the savlonut.
Yeah.
And therefore they're not counted as the mothers of Israel.
That is great. I'm glad I
You hear that?
came
I'm glad you
today.
came today, right?
I didn't follow.
Otherwise, it's very hard. Without them, there's no 4 tribes. And you ain't got 4, you ain't got 12. But biologically, they gave over, but they were not able to give over the traits of eternity, of savlanut. How do you say that? To say savlanut means also suffering.
Yeah.
Savlanut, savlan. To suffer, to bear, because their lives were relatively easy going lives, Bilhah and Zilpah. You had easy lives, unlike Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. Each one of them suffered terribly, and yet they were able to bear. And what? And their faith in Hashem was not weakened. On the contrary, Mark, it was what? Strengthened. Despite the suffering, because of the suffering. So they're able to give that. We inculcated that from our mother's milk.
Yeah.
But Bilhah and Zilpah, since they led lives of what? Of leisure, therefore they were not considered the mothers of Israel. Even though they were. Even though they were.
But Leah and Rachel also suffered? I mean,
They all suffered. Read the text.
They almost married Esau.
Right? How much they cried and they suffered, and all the tricks that their father played on them, suffered. They all suffered terribly. And she died, and she was barren, and she died in childbirth, but she never cracked.
Sorry.
Hmm?
We never crack.
Right? And therefore,
Right.
they are the mothers and not Bilhah and Zilpah. Right?
Right.
That's very important to remember. The original Iron Ladies of the Exodus are what? All of the women in the Exodus, they all suffered. And they were ready to give up hope. The men were ready to give up hope, but the ladies, they wouldn't, right? Remember, Rashi quotes Chazal, the men were ready to give up,
Yeah.
and the women wouldn't let them, and the women would sneak out to the fields, remember?
Yeah.
Because the Mitzvim wouldn't let the husbands come home at night. Rashi quotes Chazal there. There you have solution to what? To the Jewish problem. The men cannot be with their wives, no more babies. No more babies, no more Jewish people. So what would the women do? They would sneak out with their picnic baskets and their makeup kits. Remember? And they would what? Give their husbands and lovey-dovey, right? And that's why you say Shir Hashirim on the Pesach night. There's a pasuk there, Tachas hatapuach or articha. Underneath the apple tree I aroused you. Who sang that to whom?
Andrew's sisters.
Not the Andrews sisters.
I'm hearing that song in my head.
The Barry sisters.
Nobody
There's a pasuk in Tillim, Tachas hatapuach or articha. Underneath the apple tree I aroused you. That's the Jewish wife saying to hubby.
Yeah.
Remember? You didn't want to have any children. You were too, what? Threw in the towel. But remember, we made lovey-dovey underneath the apple tree. Don't sit under the apple tree with anybody but me.
That's it.
They got that song from there, right?
So that's number
So it's the Jewish. Oh, and then that's what we remember. Despite all the suffering and tribulations, the men were ready to throw in the towel of them. Why have children? They'll wind up in the bottom of the Nile River.
They also brought the Tupim. They brought the Tupim.
The Tupim they brought out of Egypt. That's right. The Cholot Tupim, right? The drums and the tambourines, right?
Oh, I brought 2 guitars with me.
What you brought, right?
2 guitars I brought with me.
Wow, you made Aliyah, 2 guitars, right? So the women are a much higher level. They're able to bear the pain and realize, Avram, that before the birth of a child, there's terrible chevle leida. But they're willing to bear the pain because they realize at the end there's a great payoff. That's a symbol for what? For our pain and suffering now before Mashiach comes.
That's it.
And in Mitzrayim, the women knew that there's great pain and suffering, there's a great payoff. How did they know? They looked at their own body. Before the lady gives birth, 9 months, doesn't she get morning sickness and all the suffering of pregnancy? But she's willing to grin and bear it because she knows that what? Big payoff.
Yeah.
So that's a semel for Am Yisrael, right? Therefore, the whole exodus happened for the Nashim Tzidkaniyos. They were able to give the chizuk to their husbands. The men were ready, forget about it. Why have kids? It's all over. But the women wouldn't allow them. The women wouldn't allow them. And therefore, Rosh Chodesh is a holiday for women, right? Chanoch. Why is Rosh Chodesh a holiday for women? Huh?
Because they didn't say.
They didn't sin with the Egel. So what does it have to do with everything? So give them every second Wednesday off. I mean, why is Rosh Chodesh the holiday for women? You hear the question? You have to take your wife for dinner Rosh Chodesh. She doesn't do the laundry, she doesn't wash the dishes, right? Rosh Chodesh is their Yontif. Why is it their Yontif? What? David, why? I'm glad you asked. Rosh Chodesh, can you see the moon?
No, it's in the moon.
You can't see the moon. It's totally black. Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the month, the moon is what?
Concealed.
Black, hidden. In Mitzrayim, all we saw was blackness. Even the great rabbis, Amram, the Gadol Hador, Moses' father, separated from his wife. Why have kids? They'll wind up at the bottom of the Nile River. And when Amram separated from his wife, what's good for all the Hasidim followed. That's it. No more Jewish babies. So little Miriam, what did she say? Abba, your decree is worse than Stalin. I mean worse than Pharaoh. Why? Because Pharaoh only decreed on what?
The boys.
By separating from mommy, you what?
Killing the girls too.
You're not letting the baby girls be born. He listened to her. She was a little girl, kindergarten. And he remarried his wife, and who was born? Holy Moses. For not little Miriam, no Moses, no Redeemer, no lawgiver, right? Little Miriam. So what's the message? Listen to your little girl. He could have said, you're telling me, go back to Romper. Remember Romper Room? Or go back to your milk and cookies. Remember that? Remember what Romper Room? No?
Romper room, yeah.
No, he listened to her, even though he's the chief rabbi. Even little girls have a Bina Yetera. He listened to her, he married Yocheved, and Moshe Rabbeinu was born. So women, they have the Yom Tov Rosh Chodesh Avon, because Rosh Chodesh, the moon is black. The Jewish people are compared to the moon. The Zohar says, right? That's why we follow a lunar calendar. The moon waxes and wanes. It looks like it's about to be swallowed up by the Holocaust. 3 years after the Holocaust, what happened? We built this wonderful state of Israel, which is ranked number 7 of the superpowers. I'm not making this up. It's ranked the superpowers of the world. Little Israel is ranked number 7. Is that normal? Number 7. So the moon is the Jewish people. We wax and we wane. So even when we saw the moon all black, women said, yes, it's black now, but it won't remain black forever. The moon, like the Jewish people, or the Jewish people like the moon, have the power to rejuvenate. We're the great comeback kid. Men can't see that. So Rosh Chodesh is the Yom Tov of you ladies. You can see through the blackness, through the pain. There's going to be a great payoff. Be patient. Because their own bodies, they see it of the 9 months of pregnancy. So therefore they have this eternal hope, which men don't have because they don't go through the stages of pregnancy. And therefore Rosh Chodesh is the Yom Tov of women. The Rosh Chodesh of what? Of rejuvenation. Of never to give up hope. And 3 years after the Holocaust, we come back to build the state of Israel. That's the koyach of what? Of the moon. It's Chadesh. Rosh Chodesh. The women taught that. When things look blackest, Esther's called Ayelet HaShachar in Psalm. Why is Esther called Ayelet HaShachar? Shachar means dawn. But Shachar comes from the word of Shachor. Shachor. The blackest hour is when? Right before dawn. So Esther and the ladies know if it looks Shachar, when it's blackest, there's a Shachar coming. You don't believe it? Look at the moon. It's black on Rosh Chodesh, but it keeps on shining. And that's the Jewish people. This Thursday is my son's yortzeit. So please come. I'm giving a shir on God's accounting after death. God's accounting after this Thursday, 2 o'clock, for my son's yortzeit. Please come. Thursday at 2, there'll be a kiddush also. Thursday, 2 o'clock, God's accounting after death.
For more of Rabbi Sprecher's teachings, visit rabbisprecher.com.